do this.
All right, buddy. Okay, we are recording live. Welcome, everybody, to our blab this week, the power of video in creating viral content. I have one of the best dudes here as far as creating video content, a producer, just learned about this. He's in the process of doing production for a video, or he has to keep hush-hush, right? Tay, you can't spread the good news yet, right?
I can spread a little bit. It's not too bad.
You can tell us a little bit about that. But Taylor's currently a video production guy. We're teaching him a few things about social media here. Welcome to Blab for your first time, first and foremost.
Yep, thank you.
You're no longer a Blab virgin. You are now officially a part of the world of Blab. And I'm excited to jump into content because this is an area, in all honesty, I'm not that great at. I just push content out there and do my thing. So I'm sure I can learn a few things. But first and foremost, Taylor, give us a little bit about your background, how you got into the world of video production, what intrigued you with it. Tell us a little bit about your story, and then I'll ask you some more questions after that.
All right. So the first time I got a real camera, I would say, was actually when I was studying at Nankai University in China. And I had got a camera, and for about 3 months, I went out and I filmed just different parts of China.
Awesome.
And I put together a pretty fun video just to remember it. And then that was kind of like the first time I said, yeah, this is really fun and this looks awesome. And so I took that, came back to the States, and then I went on a 2-year service mission. Mm-hmm. And then I came home and I got myself a pretty good camera, and I have a really big push of networking. Like I'm very pushy when it comes to networking, of getting people to network and talk to people and try different things and reach out of their bubble. And so that's what I did for about 3 weeks. I was constantly on the phone. I'd say probably like 2 or 3 hours every single day, actually, just networking. And I got a pretty good video crew down in Utah I could work with. So we worked on a project for the Jaguar, the car company. Mm-hmm. And we worked on a couple of YouTube videos for these pretty, I'd say, famous YouTubers. Mm-hmm. And I was part of that. And then pretty soon after that, I networked my way down to Vegas, and I was able to do horse photography and videography for Wayne Newton, who is like Mr. Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, for sure.
So I was his head dude and all that.
Kidding. That's killer.
Yeah. Man. So I worked there for about a month. I was going back and forth and doing his horse photography. So then I came home, went to 2 semesters. I actually worked in social media business marketing. Like I helped structure the class, helped build that. And then I just went back down again and worked with some producers. And that time we were able to, there's a new TV show, sort of movie thing that's being built right now. Sorry. Went to LA and met with them. I actually get Vegas, and then I went to LA and then was able to shoot some pretty fun videos for them. So
freaking awesome. Well, good. Well, I know video production in general is a broad spectrum, right? There's so many. There's TV production, there's YouTube production, there's movie production. There's so many broad spectrum. I think most people think, well, putting together a video is not that hard. And I completely disagree with that, because I've shot my own videos and I've deleted like 500 of them, right? Because I'm like, oh, that sucks. Right. I can't. For some reason, I just don't have the skill set to do that. So I'm really glad you're here to share with us maybe some of your insights. So let's talk, because we are a digital marketing agency, we focus more specifically on social media than anything else. And a lot of the clients, a lot of our audience right now is really in that maybe a bootstrapping mode of, I can't go out and hire a video production company to come in and do a $5,000 gig for me, but I want to get content. I want to push content out into the marketplace. So start with, what's the first thing that you would recommend when it comes to creating content that goes viral on social media? What is it? The infrastructure? Give us a little bit of insight on that.
The first thing, like when we go into a company or whatever, one of the very first questions we ask is, what is the age here you're trying to reach out to? And for example, a little store on campus or around campus is probably going to reach out to college students more than they're going to do with, maybe the older generation or whatever. So I always try to figure out like, hey, what's the age? And sometimes it doesn't matter at all.
Okay.
And then when it's that, it's like, hey, what's the kind of style you want to portray? Some people so we just shot a video for a watch company. And we asked them, we're like, well, do you want to have this like adventurous? Do you want to have this very, very modern? Do you want to have it like very, like it depends on like formal or whatever. And so we just try to like pinpoint, and a lot of the times I haven't even thought of those like simple questions. Like before we even start shooting anything, we try to get like a general idea of who they want to reach out to, what it's going to look like. And then based on that, we say, okay, now let's start bringing in some ideas.
Okay. So if I'm an individual business owner, right, I'm bootstrapping and I'm starting, I'm an entrepreneur. And I'm like, okay, so I kind of have my target market, which is great, right? Ask those questions because that's a key element in general. If you have a business, if you're trying to start a business, you need to know who you're catering to. We all get that. Right. So what would be the next step? Now that you have the demographic of who you're trying to, and your target avatar, what's that next step? What would be the next step that you would, and not necessarily a larger corporation, maybe talk on a smaller level of just the individual. What would you tell them to do?
Is this in terms of videography or just social media?
Probably just they want to produce a video that they can they can go viral with, right? Because everybody wants that. Because you and I both know one of the biggest limitations of social media right now, with Facebook specifically, is they've limited organic reach. Right. But video is proving to create more organic reach than any other venue. So is there kind of a composition, an architecture, or structure of how you put together a video if I want to get a message? In this case, let's talk about content marketing. Let's say, for instance, I want to put a video together about content marketing. What would you advise to me? I already know what my target avatar is. What's the next step?
For content marketing, I would say the first thing you got to do, honestly, with a brand new startup business, you just got to throw something out there the best you can do and just see how people react. For example, we started our own sunglasses company. And the first thing we did was we're going to take drift cars with our sunglasses and we're going to go drifting and we're just going to see how people react. And we got about 1,000 views in the first hour. So we felt like, okay, that was really good. They want to see fun, exciting things with our product. And so for me, that's one of the questions I would ask. I would say, like, do you want this to be fun and exciting? Do you want to just be very knowledgeable? Like, if this is a new medicine or whatever the case is, like you have a new therapy or whatever, you basically got to find out what do people want, and you got to show that. But for content marketing, we have a new deal with a car company. And the typical car commercial to me is, look at this awesome car. It's this much money. Look at this awesome car. And it kind of goes through. And I feel like that's more of like how the older generation has like aligned it. Right. And so we decided we're going to scrap all of that. We're going to make all these cars like really fun and exciting. Something that people would be like, oh, sweet. It's one of those commercials. For example, like the Old Spice, they're always like kind of wacky. Yeah. But that's how they market. And people sit there and watch their ads. Yeah. And so with this So with this whole commercial now, we're going to take all their media and flip it and make it very fun. And so that's what we're going to try.
Right. So first you identify what your target market is, who you're trying to cater it to. And then the second one might even be just like your brand voice. Like, what is it? How are you want to portray your brand? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You kind of figure out. So if I'm a new entrepreneur though, and I'm putting together a video, I don't really know what my brand voice is yet. So I think what you said is go back and kind of test a few things.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, okay. But let me ask you this question, because you might have an audience already created, maybe a Facebook following or YouTube following or whatever. What if I don't have that? How do I test the market?
For me personally, and this, I know this is kind of relative with a lot of people, when it came to like reach and growing, I love to network and work with other people. For example, I say, this guy's up here and I just started. And I say, this is what I can offer you and help you with. And if I can work with them, a lot of the times, like that network can really their network becomes your network.
Gotcha. So you're doing a lot of networking to utilize influencers in the market space already to get that audience feedback of how you're branding you.
Yeah. For example, when I got home a couple of months ago from my mission, so what I've been told, like when it comes to like competitive markets, is you want to start a new business, you got to look at everyone that's into that business and you're immediately going against them, like straight up. But I said, I want to learn photography to help my videography. Then like in sense of, I'd understand lighting and positioning and stuff. So instead of saying, I want to be a photographer, I'm going against all photographers, I said, I want to shadow every photographer in Rexburg that I can. So I went around for different, like maybe 20 different photographers, and I shadowed them. And I got like a bit and piece of every single person's like view. And then when I came back, I said, okay, this is how I can stand out because I understand all these people. And I said, this is where my niche is in the market. And this is how I'll be different, but still like have their skill as well. And so I kind of networked with them just from the beginning. So
find maybe another element that you're saying to us then is find power teams or different professions that complement your business. Go learn about those, because as you network and as you figure out how those complement with your business, then you'll pull things that you can utilize for your business. But in addition, you're creating a connection with someone that doesn't use your services.
Right.
And then they can piggyback off and say, oh yeah, I should use this guy because he shadowed me. Okay, great. So networking is one of the keys. Okay. What's next? So you have your network now. Let's talk about the actual putting the video together. Is there a structure to it? Opening, middle, close. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So I worked with lots of videographers, and every single person is different.
Okay.
In fact, if you're exactly the same, especially in the video world, they'll even tell you like you're not original at all. Like you have to be different. And so for me, my style is, generally speaking, before I even show up to a shoot, I like to have a good plan laid out, which is very typical. But then when I get there and we grab the cameras and we start filming, in my head, I'm already editing. Okay, like, in another thing is, I would suggest, and this is me personally, I've shot a lot of weddings, and I've talked to wedding videographers, and sometimes they say, go shoot all the footage you can, so you have 80 hours of footage or whatever, and then go try to like take the best of it. For me personally, I look at that and I say, I'm only going to shoot what I know I'll use.
Yeah.
And so really, like, I don't always have my camera running because I say, I know I'm not going to use that. I'm not even going to touch it. So when I show up to shoot, for the most part, I take a look at something and say, I'm only going to shoot what I need. And in my head, I kind of start editing it. And then I usually throw it into my timeline and just start chopping it up from there and slowly shrink it in until it fits what I want, I guess.
Probably saves you hours worth of editing time too, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. And I worked with like the TV shows. I worked with them, and that was Authentic Entertainment, and they shot 80 hours of footage in a week. And so I just couldn't imagine like being the guy behind the editing of that.
Yeah, no kidding. That's incredible. Okay, so talk a little bit. I'm gonna push you here, Taylor. I'm going to ask you questions that you're going to think is probably, hey, this is my strategy. I'm not going to tell you this.
Oh, no problem.
I want to know your plan. Tell me about your plan. So you said step 4 that I've recorded or that I've written down is, have a plan laid out in your mind. So what is that plan?
Let me take an example. So I'll just give the latest one. We just did the watch company again.
Okay.
And we decided for that, we decided the plan was we're going to be adventurous. We're going to make this exciting. People are going to want what we have. That's what we want to portray. Like they're at the end of this video, they're going to say, I want that. I want it now, kind of a thing. This was for a Kickstarter. And so our mindset was, our original plan and our ending plan ended up being a little different for sake of time and the way that the window was closing. But we wanted to start off with immediate adventure and like to show people like they don't know what's going on. I think a lot of the times people reveal their product right up front in a lot of ads, which is fine. But a lot of strategy for me is to get them engaged and they don't know what they're looking for at first. And so they're watching it and there's excitement there. And then all of a sudden it shows like, oh, okay, that's what they're doing. you know, they're selling me on this cool watch or whatever. That was kind of the pre-plan beforehand.
Okay.
And then, you know, as we got out and started filming.
A lot of it is just kind of fly. And I'm not saying this in a negative connotation, but a lot of it's just fly by the seat of your pants a little bit, right? And say, okay, and just having that skill set to say, okay, yeah, this is going to work. Here's the intro. Here's how we want to position the intro. And then let's kind of see how it flows from there. Here's what we want to capture, the overall voice, right? The brand voice. But okay, I want to capture this way. And, you know, let's do this. Let's do a little bit different. Right. So a lot of it's just feel from what I'm gathering, right?
Yeah. So it goes both ways. Sometimes we won't. I would say honestly, and this depends on your shoot. At least 50% of your time needs to go to planning. Like straight up before you pick up the camera, you need to sit down with everyone and you need a plan. And everyone's got to like visualize generally the same idea. And so when you get there, things flow like really smoothly. And honestly, like even then you change things up as you go. But we like to have the general picture before we even start.
Okay, so I was chatting with a guy online the other day. Brian Wright's his name, and I connected with him. Seems like a really good guy. He gave me a couple of step-by-step processes to consider. Let me read a few of these and see if you agree or you disagree. So he said, just like you said, he said the first thing I suggest you spend a few hours to make your film on paper.
Yeah.
Put together what you're going to say on paper. He said, without video, creating content is all about pre-production, almost without exception. He said, mapping out your story is a good thing to do. It doesn't have to be complicated, a whiteboard, a sheet of paper, marker, computer, just bullets line by line, the order of things your customers will get the most value from.
Right.
Right? Is that it? Do you agree with that?
Yeah,
Tip
that's
number one?
We always write it out, yeah.
Okay. So you write, do you do a lot of the script writing as well in production?
I actually have someone else write it while I tell it. But
okay,
yeah, we do it.
Okay. So then it says the next one is keep the number of concepts you want to cover in your marketing videos to 1.
I would for the most part agree with that.
Tell me more.
There's times where that's a little different.
Sure.
For example, we did one for a company where we wanted the company name to be side by side with the product.
Okay.
And that is a little different. That can be different, meaning
sure.
We want to say, look, here's the name, here's the product, here's the name, and throughout it, that's what we try to show. And usually, generally speaking, you would want just like focus on one or the other. But,
well, and especially if you're talking about like, let's say for instance, you know, because Facebook Live's become huge, right? Periscope has become huge over the last few months. And so if you have people that are just basically pulling up their iPhone and they're going live, which I should have done that. Don't know why I didn't. But if you just go live, you normally only want to have one key concept that you're going to share, because you're not going to spend an hour on a Facebook Live feed unless you're teaching a class, of course. But so staying with one concept in context of how you share the messaging, you would suggest that when it comes to the beginning person who's launching Facebook Live for the first time. What would you say?
I would. One thing that's kind of a tough one when it comes to like live stuff. So Periscope, when we shoot our music videos, we actually Periscope the whole thing.
Yeah. And
I guess that's one idea.
Yeah.
But I've also done my own where it's just like question answer stuff and that go 100 circles.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and I think you're right. I think depending on the context of how you set up the live feed, if you just say, hey, I'm answering Q&A time, Gary Vee style, people are just kicking questions and then it goes all over the place. But if I'm sitting down, like I said, I don't have a following. I'm trying to build my following through Periscope or Facebook. Would you suggest it's better to just stick with one topic and share your message about that one topic and then get off?
If for example, I do that occasionally when I'm doing music. Mm-hmm. And so I'm recording music. That's my topic will be that. And yeah, I definitely just stick with that. And I'll answer questions around that topic. But if you're trying to build people from the outside, I would highly suggest doing that. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Number 3, and he talks about this, and this correlates exactly with one of the other steps or the keys that you talked about was get to know your audience. They'll strongly drive 1 and 2, right?
Yes, sure.
And your brand voice. And then once that's done, you can roll the cameras. Okay. So just like what you said, I mean, I just asked him this question in a community, an awesome community. You ought to go connect with it. It's called Screw the 9 to 5 Community.
Okay.
The Facebook group run by Jill Stanton. There's a ton of entrepreneurs, over 11,000 people. It's an active group. Get responses anytime you throw anything out there, questions about social media. Really cool group, and Jill's done a great job. And thanks for Jill, if you're listening to this, for putting that on. But what's great about just in general video production is, tell me a little bit about, from a statistic perspective, because I hear all the time, video is 800% more effective, 800 times more effective, 200 times more effective. Tell us the why behind that. Why is it more effective than just throwing up a quote post or an infographic or something on social?
I think a lot of it is because it's moving. Mm-hmm. Our eyes catch moving. For example, yesterday with a friend, I went to Costa Vida, and they've got this bubble machine, and I was just staring at it because it was just moving. And it was like way in the back, but I just couldn't stop looking at it. And so for me, I think just things that are constantly moving just attracts the eye. And I also think with video, to really get something to kick off quickly is to have a quick, I feel like we become, because we see so many videos and stuff, we become very, what's the word? Short-sighted, numb almost, right?
Yeah.
Meaning you can see it, and within 5 seconds, if it's not cool, you move on.
Yeah.
And so really those first, I feel like maybe 10 years ago, it was the first minute. If it wasn't cool, you'd move on. But now it only takes a few seconds. Like even on Snapchat, that's 10 seconds. If their snap's not worth watching the rest of the 5 seconds, I'll just go to the next one.
Yeah. Snap's becoming huge. Snap's the new thing. Lots of growth on Snapchat, lots of ways to monetize Snapchat. I'm learning all about that. It's pretty cool. Well, listen, so one last quick question that I have personally about the world of video production. I see a lot of videos on Facebook now that have been embedded into Facebook that have click this button or turn up your speakers, at the front of it, obviously, because Facebook has the live play feature, the autoplay feature, mm-hmm. where you can see a Facebook video without actually hearing any of the audio from it.
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
The fact that it just starts playing?
No, the idea of putting some sort of caption at the bottom of it that says "click here to listen to the audio." Is it cliche? People know. They know subconsciously, like, listen, if I want to listen to this guy, I'm going to click on the button. But does there need to be a distinct call to action that says, "Hey, come listen to me, click on the button," something like that on the front end of a video?
I've never used those, but I've definitely fallen for it. And so I'd say it's
yes or no.
I don't know. I guess for me, I probably wouldn't do it so much in a business sense, but if I was doing my own fun things, I probably would. Like I could see myself doing stuff like that.
Okay, cool.
But I'll again, that's kind of relative. I'd have to test more. I haven't thought too much of that one.
Yeah. It's interesting because we're noticing now on social media, a big play that people are starting to utilize. Kim Garst with Boom Social, or Social Boom Social, I think is what it's called. I just saw a post on Facebook where she has an automated infographic, or an animated infographic, meaning she like slides from one slide to the next slide to the next in a Facebook video, right? Instead of actually being on camera, on video. She's utilizing now the concept of, a couple months ago or even a year ago, they went to the carousel feature on Facebook where you could actually see the story, and Facebook has run those. But I'm noticing now businesses are starting to utilize this context of, instead of someone being on the camera speaking, they're just rolling through a couple slides in a slideshow fashion.
Yeah.
Within a 30-second video that's attracting people, like you said, because it's moving. But it's not a 2 to 3 minute video. Anyway, I didn't know if you've noticed that at all, or if
No, I've seen that.
It's kind of interesting.
Yeah. Honestly, I think the more unique things start becoming, that's how you're going to catch the eye.
Yeah.
So,
well, and I think that's a very good point. And especially for, my audience specifically is a bunch of either home-based business owners or businesses that are bootstrapping for the most part on the front end of really trying to figure out social. And in a lot of context, they're saying to me, well, how do I shoot a video? And I think you're right. I think you have to be unique. You have to be memorable. You have to start something, be And I've always learned in presenting that you have to be over animate or be a lot more animated when you're presenting, when you're talking, because it comes across like half of what you're actually feeling, right? And so,
Yeah.
Because I see presentations all the time where people are like presenting and they think they're excited, and it's just like, this guy's putting everybody to sleep.
Right.
Right. So.
Sure.
Question from Mitch. What about those whiteboard videos, draw out videos, animated videos versus real videos of people? What's your take on that?
So we've done some whiteboard time-lapse videos where we're drawing and it just covers the whole screen. I feel like those went pretty well. And we just had a voiceover in the background that just talked while, the pictures were coming across. I'd have to pull up, I can't remember how my numbers on how the reach, but it was a couple thousand in a few days. It worked pretty well.
Cool.
But
hard to create.
Yeah,
right? There's a lot more production time included in that. Versus pulling up a Facebook Live and going.
Right. Someone who can actually draw. But yeah.
Okay. Well, listen, Tay, what last thought you want to share with the audience? What would it be?
If this is again me.
Here we go. First question. I'm going to ask you two questions. First one is, if you could do anything in this world, what would it be?
If I could do anything, wow, that's a big question.
Well, what's that one thing? What's that one thing that you want to do?
I have an idea, and I think this was because of my experience in China and filming over there. If I could take different parts of the world that haven't seen social media, or like social media hasn't seen them, I guess, and go and film them and help reach out and show the world, okay, here's this place over here that no one's ever seen before. Let me show you, let me give you a taste. One thing that I'm really passionate about and I feel really strongly about is tagging emotion with videos, an emotion that people can relate to. And so I feel like, to me, that's really important, is how can I relate to that? Because for me, I've seen some ads that to me, it just blew me away because I could relate to that. And a lot of people could.
Yep.
And that's why they had, 30 million views on it.
Right.
And they were simple. Like, I look at that and said, that's really not that hard of an idea, but everyone could relate to that. And that's why they did such a good job. And so for me, I think that would be awesome to do that.
That's awesome.
Like all over.
No, that would be way cool. Okay. Well, thanks, Taylor, for being on with us, my man. Creating some value-based content for my audience, and I'll get some of this content back to you so you can share it in your audience as well. Building the list is what we talk about, helping people expand their business, grow their reach, and ultimately turn those potential customers into money, baby, right? So
that's right.
Okay, Tay, thanks for being on, buddy, and we'll catch up again soon.
No, thank you. All
right.
Sounds good. Yep, thanks.